Hey, greetings from New York City. This is Chris Franco, and I've been watching Andrei Jikh for a long time, and I always find him to be kind of nauseating. Now, I don't know him personally. This is just going off of his online persona, and I'll show you exactly what I mean here. But first, let me show you who he's trying to appeal to with his videos, because I think that's very important. So his most popular videos, the first video is a magic video, because 3 years ago, he wasn't giving investment advice, he was a magician. The 10 highest paying jobs you can learn without college. How to invest for teenagers. Or my personal favorite, how to talk to your parents about your changing body. It's a bunch of stuff that's meant to appeal to someone that doesn't know anything. And I'm not knocking the audience, I'm just pointing out the facts. Now listen to how he talked about Bitcoin and tell me if this guy's not a scumbag.
What would be the fastest path to $1 million? Spoiler alert, the fastest way would be really if you could just pluck money out of thin air and you could just materialize it out of nowhere like that. That would be the fastest.
Whoa!
But
Well, I didn't want to show this whole video because later on he actually pulls a quarter out of his ass.
if you want to become a millionaire, investing in Bitcoin is going to be the fastest path to getting you there.
Now think about who would be listening to this. They would actually, at this point in the video, not turn it off. It's somebody who doesn't know better. And I'm saying this because probably 10 years ago, if I had heard this, I would have probably bought into this too, because it sounds so good. Like I don't have to do any work. I just need to buy Bitcoin and I can be on the fast track to being a millionaire.
Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the $1 million video. Let's talk.
This dude is full of shit.
Why Bitcoin is the fastest path to $1 million. But first, I just want to quickly say that this video is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm not making this video so I can get your email by downloading my free ebook so you could buy my course.
Here's what he's doing though. What he's doing is he's trying to get everyone excited because at the end of the video, he's going to offer a Blockfi link that if you sign up through, he gets a bunch of money. Blockfi, by the way, if you want to get your money out of it today, you're not able to because they got caught up in the FTX collapse.
Don't forget to grab up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin. Use this Blockfi link right here, blockfi.com/Andre.
When these guys were pumping this stuff, what value does Bitcoin have if they're giving it away so you sign up for something? I didn't pay a lot of attention to like the FTXs and Blockfi because thanks to people like Charlie Munger, I knew just to steer clear, give it a wide berth. But for those that were pumping it like this dude, what did he think he was sending his audience to do? How is this business even sustainable if they're giving you money and then they also offer these insane interest rates?
Looking at a video with Kevin O'Leary, who is
a total charlatan, which we know a couple of videos ago I showed all his stock picks or predictions from this year, and he's been wrong about everything.
On the TV series hit show Shark Tank, and in his video, he was talking about how he thinks Bitcoin will beat the S&P 500 index by 400 basis points. Remember, the S&P 500 is one stock that represents...
Oh, it's not a stock, dude. I missed that the first time. The S&P 500 is not a stock.
500 companies, and that one stock is expected to give you a rate of return of around...
But see how confident he sounds? Like you could easily glean over that and not think anything of it. Like, oh yeah, I must have misheard it. He's so confident.
Now, Kevin thinks that Bitcoin will beat the S&P 500 by an additional 4%, giving us a rate of return of anywhere between 11 to 14%. Now, I agree with Kevin, and I think Bitcoin will beat stocks, but I disagree with him because I think he's being overly conservative. Realistically, I think Bitcoin will beat the S&P 500 by at least 9 to 10%, so twice as much as the S&P 500. And if I was to really put on my...
What? Come on, man. What is he doing here? He's trying to get people who don't own any Bitcoin to get really excited about it because at the end, he's going to offer you $250 in free Bitcoin to sign up through his Blockfi link.
I think Bitcoin will reach $500,000 per coin before the end of this decade. And let's just imagine you bought one whole Bitcoin at $37,000.
Let's imagine, all right? Let's just put yourself in the shoes of someone that didn't miss out.
Assume that 9 years from today, at the exact same time, that one Bitcoin became worth $500,000. That is a rate of return of 1,251%. Now, if you annualize that, don't analyze numbers.
Thought I was kidding about that quarter.
Very different. If you annualize that, that's a rate of return of 33.5% per year, which is...
Excuse me for a second, I need to throw up.
A little over triple that of the S&P 500. Now let's just...
Yeah, you'll do triple.
Assume that instead of buying one Bitcoin, you bought two. That would make you a millionaire in this example by 2030. But let's imagine that instead of buying the two Bitcoins, you bought $74,000 worth, which is roughly the price of two Bitcoins today, into the S&P 500.
The S&P 500, that amazing stock.
In this case, you would become a millionaire in the year 2047, which is roughly...
He's literally telling people, hey, that whole like low-cost indexing thing? That's stupid because you can become a millionaire much faster if you just buy Bitcoin, which, by the way, he owns a lot of, and he thinks that if more people buy it, the prices will just keep going up, which obviously that would make sense if we lived in a vacuum. The world is not as simple as that. The world is a complex system where everything interacts with everything else. It doesn't work like, well, everyone will just keep buying it and just keep going up. I mean, look what happened.
Now, I know if you're watching this video and you're not into Bitcoin, you're like, another Moon Boy prediction video.
Yeah, another grifter.
This guy's out of touch. He's going to lose all his money. So
I don't wish anyone loses their money, but I would imagine he's down pretty big.
Break it down for you and tell you why I think what I think, because there's been some huge developments in Bitcoin recently that I think is going to be the tipping point of the fireworks that you're going to see this decade.
All right, he was wrong, by the way. So he goes on to say that El Salvador was the first country to now have adopted Bitcoin. We know how that turned out. Then he goes on to say that if more Fortune 500 companies add Bitcoin to their balance sheet, that's another catalyst. And then finally, hedge funds have all this cash. If they put a little bit of it in Bitcoin, that's going to add the final thing that'll just take it to the moon. That would work in a vacuum, but the world doesn't work as simply as that. And you would also have to assume that Bitcoin has some value, which, sorry everyone, it doesn't. If it did, it would produce something. And that's not a dig. That's just the reality. If you're interested in learning more about that, by the way, I'll put a link in the description to a podcast where I describe what Warren Buffett articulated in his 2011 letter about gold, because it'll really show you what that whole idea of non-productive asset means. It's not knocking Bitcoin, it's just reasoning from first principles.
But I think it's pretty obvious that Bitcoin will outpace stocks, bonds, real estate, and everything in between. And if you're wondering, when do I buy Bitcoin? Today, it's at 40,000. Yesterday, it was at 37,000.
And today, it's at 16,000. Thanks, Andrei. Hey, Andrei, thanks for that magic trick. Andrei did another magic trick. He said, hey, I got your retirement here. Now you see it, now you don't. Woo!
Last week it was at 30, and I think the answer to that question is, it doesn't matter. As long as you dollar cost average into it to reduce your stress, in the long term, while it may seem like it's a lot of money today, in the long term
Dude, 3 years ago, this guy was doing magic tricks, and now he's, he can tell you the surefire path to be a millionaire. It's just like that. It's like that skit I did on that one episode where I was like, 3 years ago, I was under a bridge playing the skin flute just to get a meal. Then I learned how to swing trade. Now I'm a millionaire, and I'm gonna show you.
Does that mean I will invest all my money into Bitcoin? Yes.
And by the way, he often shows his portfolio, which is another way to communicate to his young audience that he knows something about money, because they falsely believe that people who have money are good at everything. Never mind the fact that the money that he's made is largely from pimping out his audience. It's from building an audience, monetizing it, and then monetizing it more, which I call pimping out your audience. Sorry.
No, of course not. There's a lot of things I don't know that I don't know. There's a lot.
I don't think you know exactly the entire extent of what you don't know, you charlatan.
A lot of risks that we may not even be thinking about today. But either way, if becoming a millionaire is something that you really want to do, then I think becoming a millionaire is pretty much inevitable if you hold some Bitcoin.
Dude, imagine the irresponsibility of that statement. Becoming a millionaire is inevitable if you hold some Bitcoin. That is unbelievably irresponsible. This should go in like the Hall of Shame.
And like what I do with my Bitcoin is like once I buy it on Gemini, I will send it to a service called Blockfi.
Oh.
They don't pay me to like say anything, but that's just what I use.
Don't forget to grab up to $250 worth.
Yeah, so these videos came out around the same time. So he said on Logan Paul's podcast, which that last little clip was from, that, I'm not getting paid for this. At that point, I'm sure he had signed a contract with Blockfi. So again, it's disingenuous.
I send it over there and it gets me, I think 6% interest on my money, which is fucking
on top
insane.
Of your,
Wow, the curse word, that's a little bit different than his persona. Hey guys, hey, I'm such a good guy.
All these crypto companies, they're basically loaning out money. They're loaning out Bitcoin to people that need the loans.
Okay.
And in return for holding it there, it's like a glorified savings account.
Oh, okay.
You just hold it there on what's called a hot wallet because it's online, and they pay you 6% annual interest on that money. Just for holding it.
Just to hold it.
Just to hold
Okay.
it.
Why?
Because they're lending your money out to people as loans.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
But
So how do they make money if they can give you 6%? It's crazy, man.
but you can withdraw it at any time. It's not like you don't have access to it.
Anytime.
You could withdraw at any time.
And you trust this random company?
So that company is backed by Gemini. They're partnered up. So Gemini, the Winklevoss twins, right?
Speaking of BlockFi, I'm at their website right now. I won't show it on the screen because it's very small, but it's at the top of their website in yellow. It says, BlockFi is not able to operate business as usual. We have limited platform activity, including pausing client withdrawals as allowed under our terms. So if he had read the terms of service, he wouldn't have been, well, I can't say what he would have done, but apparently their terms said that they can pause withdrawals at any time. Now, go back to what he said here.
But you can withdraw withdraw it at any time. It's not like you don't have access to it. You can withdraw at any time.
And you trust this?
You have access to it except when you need it. He's just a charlatan. He's irresponsible. I think promoting FTX the way he was, promoting Blockfi without obviously doing the due diligence or having the know-how to realize that this is just crap. You don't have to be a financial expert to ask questions before you promote something and say, how is this solvent? He obviously didn't do that. I imagine he was blinded by the dollars, but this guy would he'd push an affiliate link on his parents. Probably wouldn't even tell him, right? Like it would just be like, they'd find out later. He's like, oh, I thought you knew. Oh, little magic trick. Oh. Such a phony, man. And this is what's out there. It's the charlatans on YouTube. And they attract a big audience because it's mostly people that, not because they're dumb, but they just have yet to get into this space. They don't know any better. So this guy comes across like he's a real whiz, but he's not. He's actually a real dummy. Let me leave it here. I don't mean to be negative about this. This is the kind of stuff I want to stand up against and use my, limited platform here to make sure I help people avoid this kind of nonsense. And these guys in general, they need to really take a good look in the mirror and realize, the extent of what they've done. Not because they're to blame. They're not Sam Bankman-Fried, but they were complicit. They were blinded by their own greed, and they should have done some due diligence because